What up, peeps? Welcome to the thekisscapadespodcast. I'm your host, John Telewa, aka thekissbandit. And in this show, we explore the key elements that shape our fulfilling existence. From health and well-being to financial success, meaningful relationships, and the pursuit of happiness. We cover it all. Our guests include experts, professionals, and everyday individuals who have remarkable stories to tell. Tune in to learn practical tips, gain valuable insights, and discover strategies for personal growth and transformation. Whether you're seeking to improve your health, build your wealth, enhance relationships, or find lasting happiness, we got you covered. Welcome to today's episode. So welcome to another episode with a very, very special guest. I'll just let them introduce themselves and then, after that I'll do the usual. So just tell the people your name, what you do, and then I'll take it from there.
Sawa. My name is Afrique Motana. I'm a creative and I'm the founder and creative producer of the Sounds of Freedom project and the Cinema in Nature experience. So great to be on.
Nice. So now, when you say Sounds of Creation and cinema in Nature, are those two different entities or?
Yeah, so Sounds of Freedom Africa is an audio film series inspired by the lives and experiences of the young men, the young women who fought for Kenya's independence. And the Cinema in Nature experience is it's an event that we do at Karura Forest where we give you a set of headphones and we trek into the forest while listening to the film, to a film inspired by these stories, a fictional film, but based on true events, and go into the Mau Mau caves, the waterfalls, and then finish at the picnic site with a picnic and paint. And yeah, that's the Cinema in Nature experience.
And actually, that's the one thing that I actually experienced, and it was quite. I wanted to do like just a regular Karura hike, jog, and then coincidentally, I don't know how these algorithms are working, by the way, because I had searched for something, and then it just kept popping up. I'm like, Cinema in Nature. I've missed a couple. I've always wanted to go for one, and actually, just after experiencing it, and now I understand why you're doing it.
Great.
It's a very, very unique experience.
How did you find it?
I mean, of course, first, when we're starting off, where it's super fast-paced when you're doing like the walks.
Yeah.
That caught me off guard because I was trying to focus on the cinema and still catch my breath. But I also actually just do walks and jogs every single day.
Okay.
So it wasn't something very different, but it caught me off guard because now I have to focus. Because I always just listen to music when I'm doing my hikes or walks.
I see.
But now I have to focus on the cinema as well. So I was just it's just something that's intriguing. But I really, really had a good time with that experience. But even before we go back to that, what's your background in exactly? Because I know you came up with this idea, maybe the co-founders, but what's your background so that we can know how you ended up with this amazing idea?
Yeah. I've always been a creative in one form or the other. I think when I was still in primary school, I used to doodle a lot. We used to do comics. We used to literally draw our own comics in Primo. I moved into high school where I became an abstract artist, and then I became a spoken word artist as well. So by the age of 16, I was performing at, pubs.
Really?
Yeah.
Because
they had
performing
spoken word.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so slums. A lot of slums happen in pubs on a random Tuesday.
Oh, wait, I think I know. I'm trying to recall a few people maybe from back when I used to go for the poetry slams. Because I remember that name, Poetry Slam.
Yeah.
But
Kwani, maybe?
yes.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
So I used to do a lot of Kwani shows.
Okay. Makes sense.
So I'd be that random 16-year-old
who's there and actually
who's at a
performing.
pub actually performing, you know. Had to ask my sister to, of course, accompany me as my manager, so to speak. And that was quite a time. I think I was really passionate about it, about understanding the art form. And I saw it randomly on a newspaper, and I was just like, actually, the first time I heard of spoken word was from an article describing what the art form is. So I had never even heard it before being performed until the first day I also like wrote a bit. It kind of felt to me like it's a rap that's, just spoken, I guess.
Yeah.
So I did quite a bit of that. By the end of high school, I moved into rap as well. So I finished high school in November. And by December, I'm on stage like, hyping, and
doing your music thing.
And doing my music thing. And not only doing my music thing, but like working with very big performing artists and things like this. So that was quite a run. That got me into uni. And during university, I think I moved into photography and videography. So I started mainly as a lifestyle photographer. So I did a lot of fashion. I did a lot of really just daily life at the university. And that was really cool. Moved into video. So I became a filmmaker. And I think that carried me all the way through to the end of my degree. I did my degree in journalism. I majored in broadcast media.
Which uni?
USIU.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I did a lot of cool stuff there. I even became a producer for the marketing and comms department while still a student. So we did a lot of fun stuff. There's this trend that was going around called the happy video. So a lot of guys were doing a happy Pharrell Williams happy video.
Yeah. I know. I remember the trend.
Yeah, and so I jumped on that, got the university on board. Still their most viewed video to date. So that was like really fun. Finished uni, moved into documentary filmmaking. So I ended up working in over 15 counties in Kenya, shooting developmental documentaries.
So this is working for the government or with the government?
Working as a, as a hired gun for a production company that had government clients.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's when I realized, that's when I became Kenyan. Before then, I was Nairobi and I was just...
like those people, like even like just going to other provinces you haven't...
Bost, Nimenda, Ocha. But, mainly I'm just within Nairobi.
Nairobi and its environs.
Exactly. And so when I got to see all these different places, I feel like that's when I really embraced what it means to be Kenyan and really saw the full spectrum, because we really worked from Kwale to Homa Bay to Kericho to Marsabit to Samburu.
Yeah.
So we saw quite a lot. It was also within the context of devolution. Now that there is devolution, is there really devolution? Are things really happening? What are these county governments up to?
Okay.
So that was definitely an eye-opener. And so... after that, I moved to France. I got a scholarship. And
for filmmaking or?
For just, first of all, to learn the language.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for a year and a half, I was just learning the language. Then I'd say the other year I did my master's. So I did
Still in language.
no. I did my master's in management and entrepreneurship in the creative economy.
What?
So that was
I wouldn't even know if that's a thing, though.
it's crazy. So
Uh-huh.
when I was leaving Kenya, I wanted to be a producer.
Yeah.
I'd seen a bit about, what the industry was about. I'd met so many talented people, but the management and entrepreneurial side was really, in my opinion, not there yet, especially for the young creative.
I think even now it's still kind of growing. It's still not
It's
like
still,
streamlined.
yeah. And a lot of people are still, self-producing, and the management structures are really, learning on the go and things like these.
Mm.
And for me, I wanted to see if it's possible to even get there myself, so that I understand what it means to be a producer,
Okay.
but also to really be there in support of the creative industries and cultural industries.
Mm.
So I was really driven by that.
So at this time, are we talking you're still in France?
Still in France.
Pursuing the...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Still
how
in
was that
France.
experience, even like before we go past that? Like, how's the experience like just learning? Because I'm guessing you didn't learn any foreign languages in high school, primary, high school, or uni? Or
No.
do you have a background in that?
Not really. Okay, so I did a bit of French in primary school,
Mm.
but not so much. High school, same, maybe 2 years.
But you could speak it, or...
No,
Really?
barely.
Okay.
I went to Alliance Française.
Mm.
So, of course, that's like the go-to. Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have to
yeah.
go to Alliance Française if you want to learn the language.
Yeah.
I did a lot of courses there. So I got all the way to what they call the B2 level, which is
Still in French?
still in French, but
Okay.
that's like the level at which you can speak.
So now, as before we continue, like even from that part, like where is this interest for learning French coming from? Like from primary, high school, and even now, by the time you get to Alliance, to the B2. But where is this like just a pattern? Why not Chinese? Why not German?
Yeah. So it ties in with the scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
Is that my family is bilingual. So my mom, she got her doctorate in literature in the French language. So that's
it has to make sense, because otherwise I'll be like, what are you talking? Why are you just learning French all the time? Yeah.
So there were books around the house even when I was growing up.
Nice.
And things like this, but we didn't really speak French in the house.
Yeah, because it's her thing at the time.
It's her thing at the time.
Oh, okay.
She's also, at the time, a humanitarian. She's working as a consultant for various developmental organizations. So she's basically out the country for a lot of the time.
Work and everything.
Yeah,
just
work
constantly.
and all these things.
Okay, so you got to the B2 level, and then...
Got to the B2 level. My sister lives in France as well, so that was a good stepping stone.
You see, all these things have to make sense. Otherwise, somebody would be listening, and then they're like, so I just wake up one day, start learning French because I love it. In fact, they've been inspired by you, and then, but there has to be like a backstory as well. That's why at times you're also told like somebody's path is someone's path.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, because a lot of Kenyans who I met before leaving Kenya and even in France, people have such varied stories. There are people who were learning French in uni and are going to teach English in French university. You see, that's like a whole different program.
Yeah.
There are people who just want to study in France because Europe is affordable compared to America and the UK.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Education-wise?
Yes, education-wise.
Oh.
And there are a lot of English masters and degrees. So you technically don't have to know French to study in France.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
There you
I
go.
didn't know that.
So for anyone who'd like to find out more, I'll plug in Campus France.
Perfect.
That's the perfect go-to. Whatever your situation is, if you're trying to pursue further studies, just get an international degree. Paris is a good option, and there are a lot of cities in France where that's possible. I did my master's in Nantes, which is in the west of France.
No, Nantes. I mean, I did my first Euro trip, so I know we went to different cities in France.
Yeah.
But I think maybe memorable one. I've forgotten the name, but we did a couple of cities, probably like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
It was just an interesting country.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in
So-
Paris. You like you said, you can plug anybody who wants information to do with that. They can
Yeah.
gladly reach out to you.
Exactly.
Okay, how was your experience? Like you said, for 1.5 years.
Yeah.
So how was the experience there? Like just basically adapting first of all to the weather.
Yes.
Because you're talking about a whole different, like, Kenya,
Yeah.
you realize that our weather is actually just, we don't have seasons. I don't think we have seasons in Kenya. When you go outside the country, understand what seasons mean.
I feel that, but I also feel the seasons more when I'm back.
Really?
Because, rainy season, like it's
yeah.
an actual season, the short rains, the long rains.
Yeah.
In between, it's just cold for no reason. Now things are hot, but all of a sudden there's southern winds that are, there's going to be rains all over the place. So I get to appreciate it more, definitely.
True.
But when I was going, it was December, so it was really hot. And then my sister was like, just bask in the sun, feel it one last time, because the next time you're feeling it isn't summer, bro. And I didn't understand what she was saying.
That's like 6-7 months.
I didn't really get what she was saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I get there, I'm excited. Yeah. I'm wondering why it's so cold. It's just so cold. It's just like, why is my nose freezing? Why? And this one time, I think it was spring. So yeah, we're done with winter. In Paris, it wasn't even snowing.
Yeah.
Apparently because of pollution and climate change. But anyway, so I hadn't even seen snow by that time.
And that's the funny thing. At times, the weather just seems clear.
Yeah.
And you don't see people even walking around until you open the door.
Until you open the door, you
And then you
realize
just hear
what the heck is going on. So this one time, it was like really sunny outside. And I'm like, oh, the weather's great. Let me just go bask. My sister's like, bro, just wear a sweater.
Let's put on
I was
something
like,
warm.
I'm cool. Can't you see the sun outside? I got outside, and that sun just felt like a white dot in the sky. It's terrible. But yeah, that's when I'd started schooling. Schooling was really interesting. I did a course that was really comprehensive. So you're learning the grammar, the culture, and the pronunciation.
Okay.
So full course, really get to understand, things about French art, French culture. I learned so much at the end of the course. I was literally a tour guide.
Oh, so it makes sense. Once you're done with it, you're like, okay, I understand why somebody needs to study.
And I was literally taking other people to like the Louvre if they wanted to see French art.
To go and see the art and even explain to them.
Yes, I was even explaining to them.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was taking guys around Paris to show them the different buildings, the different types of architecture, the different history.
Such a nice background to have and experience.
Yeah. Of course, this was out of necessity because I needed a job.
Plus, at the same time, you can only imagine you're in a whole different country.
Yeah.
It's also for you to network, to learn new things. And I mean, think about, like, you have nothing to lose at that point. I don't think,
So that was quite the experience. I did everything. Ukisikianga student jobs, you just think, hey, nitafika hapo, nipate kazi, I'll do this, I'll do that. But navigating, even just getting student jobs was crazy difficult. I think the first job I got was in construction. So literally MJ. And sometimes people think, oh, construction, majula kisi mkona ma machine. So nani, my friend, utapewa ndoo na spade.
So break by break, it's mixing and mixing.
Koroga hiyo simiti.
What? That's crazy. I think I can do that though in a foreign country, but not in Kenya. You know,
It's
like you've said, out of necessity, because like your papers say otherwise. So, I mean, how is that?
nah.
No, I'm just saying, listen, what are the options you have?
Hakuna tofauti ya MJ.
No, listen,
Yeah.
you know, I've had a podcast guest and I'll show you by the.
Yeah.
And even for her, when she told me, I was like, wait, if she can say she did construction, I mean, not saying that it's bad, but where is she? I featured her on the podcast. She does construction in UK.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it's something you're passionate about.
No, listen. I
That's
don't think
cool.
you can be passionate about like
That's
mixing
cool.
and
If
hard
that's your-
labor, but
If that's your vocation,
okay, hold on.
that's cool.
No. I have a question first of all, and also
it's hard.
so that it makes sense, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so like in Europe, like let's say just now in France,
Yeah.
when you're doing the construction,
Yeah.
they pay per hour, right?
Yeah.
Or per day, or how do they compensate you for the nini?
It really all just works to the same thing. It's all just
Okay,
yeah,
was the payment decent?
barely.
Oh,
Barely.
okay, then maybe it's because you didn't have like you're not a national, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but it's the way like Mexicans in the States, like, you know, they can't get fully paid.
Exactly.
But the locals get paid different because construction has to be like
And-
one of the well-paying jobs as well.
Yes, and the thing is, yes, there's this whole thing about decent pay,
Yeah.
but of course, a foreman who has a proper contract with a company and is moving
Yeah.
is definitely at the same position socially as their engineer peers,
That's what I'm
as
thinking.
guys in the
Okay.
white collar. Yes, for France as a society, there's that level of equality where everyone is,
Yeah.
but there's that undertone.
Okay.
Hapo tu chini,
I get. Okay.
France has like 70 million people, 10 million are in poverty.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
It has how many people?
over 70 million.
70 million and
10 million are poor, like poor,
Extremely-
poverty line chini,
okay.
So it is still an issue.
Yeah.
And when you get there, you see those sides of Paris. You see the guys doing, drugs in the metro.
Actually, that's true.
You see, there's just guys.
Or even when you don't see like black guys at the front row
Yeah,
of like
yeah.
shops and everything.
Yeah.
It's always like, even like in the stores and everything, you'll see like foreigners now doing.
And you'll get to that neighborhood in Paris on a say, Auntie Salon, Uncle Kinyozi.
That's serious.
Yeah. And
Right.
hapo ndo utanyolewa juu.
Yeah.
How are you getting your haircut?
I
Do you
can't.
up you call Champs-Elysees?
Impossible.
Are you crazy?
Impossible.
That rugged ass construction pay. That's not happening. Enda ununue kaunti yako uende huko.
And then you just go. But I wish we had somebody maybe who could take us, okay, not to like the bad side of the hood, but just regular,
Yeah.
where people like just live slightly.
Where I lived later on when I'd started working
Yeah.
was the equivalent of Githurai.
Hmm.
So like you
When
know
you
how
started working now.
Yeah. So you know how you can say which neighborhood you live in,
Yeah.
and everyone in the room just cringes automatically.
Just like,
Yeah, they're like, "Hey, bro, how
Yeah,
you
yeah.
surviving? How are you
are
surviving?"
you alive?
But the neighborhood was okay. I wasn't in the project.
But is it like the apartment blocks?
Yeah. Like
okay.
what you see in American
Okay,
movies. That's
okay.
exactly the same, or in UK.
Yeah.
Exactly the same in France. So I wasn't in the projects yet, but
It's
I
still
was
like
basically just in the same neighborhood, So we're like those middle class people. And on the other side of the neighborhood is the Badlands. But kulikuwa na hiyo stereotype. And someone's like,
because you're just next to.
unaishi? And then some funny funny stuff happens
Yeah.
in my neighborhood, and it's just like, yeah, there's a reason this place is like the Badlands. Like
Shit.
some kid got stabbed downstairs.
Yeah.
Or like a drug deal went wrong, so now there's cops all over the place. But for me as a black person there, I didn't really encounter too many challenges.
Okay.
Not. It's funny. There was more prejudice by
Yeah. I know.
other immigrants
Yeah.
than from the Europeans
Of course.
themselves.
100%. 100%.
So guys
100%.
will find us talking Kiswahili, in the metro.
Yeah.
And they're like, stop speaking that language. You can't be speaking that language in France. The hell is going on? You guys need to go back to your country.
Yeah.
I'm like, you need to go
You're a
back
fucking
to your
foreigner.
country.
We're all on the same boat.
So
It's a weird
bad.
dynamic.
Crazy,
But I
crazy.
think also like just, I think it's good to also talk about such things because at times a lot of people don't really understand like what it takes. Like, everybody's saying like, okay, I want to go to Europe. I want to go to
Yeah.
But you see, the things that you see on TV, when you get there, that's not the food. That's not not a normal experience.
Yeah.
This is a TV set that's actually been created to give you like a life that you think is, okay, if I go to Europe, this is how I live.
And and thank God for the internet, because now people are realizing, now all these stories are coming out. Now this, another podcast episode where someone's hearing, oh, by the way, Europe is not all roses. Thank God that's happening.
Yeah.
Thank God we have the internet. We have guys on TikTok, sharing
Showcasing.
their day-to-day experiences, telling them, hey guys, when you come here, this is what it looks like. So that guys, at least I've seen that in Europe and in America.
True.
But not so much in UAE.
You will see people crying on TikTok every time. Middle East people are crying. Those people who've like their passports have been repossessed and everything. Oh yeah.
So thank God.
Yeah, because if social media was not there, but you see now, regardless, honestly speaking, like from people that I've seen who are young, when they're applying or they want to go to those places, I think there's this, I don't know what I'd call it, but they want the reality that they have in your head to be real. Even though, because I always ask people, like even in the podcast, like, okay, have you asked people about where you want to go? I've heard you want to go to, is it Kuwait or you want to go to Dubai? Have you asked people like the experiences? Because there are people who have money. That's a whole different experience. And then a tourist, different experience. But if you're going there to live and survive, it's a whole different ball game in every country.
And I remember coming back and looking for work here. My intention was never to stay in France and start my life there. I was really passionate and convicted that Africa is where I belong. This is where I need to work. We need to tell African stories. We need to build something for ourselves. And even after seeing all that the Europeans have done for themselves, for their own cultures, this inspired me even more to come back and say, okay, even in my little way, I'd like to start here, because I didn't see myself making something for myself in Europe.
But why? Why? Let me ask you why.
But this is just me.
No.
Of course,
there's a reason, and there's a lot of people you'll see once they come back from Europe, like their mindset has changed completely.
Yeah.
And I think even like, also still, I think there's a guest I interviewed in December, and she was saying, because she stays in France, I keep forgetting these city names because it's so interesting if I knew them, because know like practically all of them. But she was just saying like, she just didn't know how much she loves Kenya until she had to go and actually live in France. Because now you realize, friends, weather, okay, like even something as simple as just like food.
Yeah.
You know how their food is.
Yeah.
It's not like, you can't compare. Our spices are different. Organic food, like if you're eating greens, it's greens.
Yeah,
if you're eating meat, it's meat.
Yeah.
There, I just don't even know what people eat in Europe. By the
So,
way, I don't
so
even
that's
understand.
how you also end up in those neighborhoods.
Oh,
Because
okay.
you're also looking for.
Also, they have those foods.
Yeah. I remember
Mhm.
walking into this store,
Yeah.
a Pakistani store that had maize flour.
Mhm.
And there's no maize flour in supermarkets. There's
At
no maize
all.
flour anywhere.
Yeah, you can't.
You're not
can't
going
find.
to walk into a supermarket, but
Impossible.
get your unga ya ugali.
Jogo, sijui nini.
That's not happening,
Yeah.
first of all.
Mhm.
But for some random reason,
They had.
they had.
What?
So they'll have stuff like that. They'll have stuff like from other countries. So like one big immigrant population in France are Congolese people.
Mm.
So you'll find that there's, their traditional foods as well, the shikwangas, the catfish, all there.
They're there.
All hapo tu zote,
Nice.
zote tu.
Nice.
So everything you can have to hold on to home, you hold on to it.
Yeah.
And Kenyans, we had this craze with Farmer's Choice sausage.
Yeah. I swear, people don't understand. Like, I ate sausages in Germany, and I would never eat sausages there again. It's rubbish. I don't even understand. 'Cause it was white. It looks like it's been cooked, but I don't know if it's steamed meat or what it is. But it's just not like breakfast sausages.
It's really not.
I was just like, and the scrambled eggs. I was
It's
like,
really
what
not.
the hell are people eating
And
here?
you'd think you'd even find it in the UK or something like this.
No.
Not really.
Shit.
So Farmer's Choice, I remember buying a pack of Farmer's Choice sausages,
Yeah.
literally for the equivalent of at least 6,000 shillings.
Oh, like somebody, a plug there, somebody who
Yeah.
had them. Shit.
So now I'm a plug of Farmer's Choice.
Yo,
Those guys.
I swear.
Those guys.
They made money. That's money proper. I can only imagine.
I remember
Crazy.
there's a time
Mm-hmm.
someone was selling that stuff for 80 to 100 euros.
What?
That's like 12 to 15,000
Yes.
for a
Yes.
pack of sauce. And this one will just be like, yo, me, I want a taste of home.
Yeah.
Just story ingine acha ikae.
I'll work some extra hours. Let me just, Nini, I just want that taste by this. So I actually understand.
Yeah. But even when I came back,
Okay, now coming. Yeah.
people were looking at me and wondering, umetoka Paris,
Why? Yeah.
urudi Kanairo.
Paris. Yes.
And I was literally at a this job recruitment
Agencies?
agencies, just trying to find placement in a company, whatever. And the chick was just like,
Go on.
and the chick was just like, umetoka Paris, unakuja kutafuta kazi na unataka nikusaidie aje? How do you want me to help you? It was the strangest thing. And even at the time, because I'd started this Sounds of Freedom project in France. And even at the time, guys were like, okay, so what exactly are you doing? Yeah, I want to tell stories about our independence. Guys are like, lakini ungepata form tu ama ulifukuzwa?
Why? Has to make sense.
It did make sense. It did make sense. But I was so convinced that if I wanted to do anything on the things that I'm passionate about, the cultural and creative industries, and I saw the film industries, the art industry, they're way too developed to even, we mwenye useme ati we ni filmmaker kutoka Africa, you're landing there and ati all of a sudden. Seme tu labda haikuwa bahati yangu.
Yeah.
Labda ni nyota yangu yenye ilibidi tu niokote Nairobi. But and different people have different paths. There are so many people in the diaspora who have done so well.
Yeah.
They've done so much better than they ever could in Kenya.
Yeah.
And they're succeeding. And we know this because of the amount of money that's coming back into the country from this diaspora community.
Yeah.
I was seeing some stats about how it's even more than, what's coming in from tourism, from agriculture.
People are coming back, or even money that they're just sending
Kenyans
for
are sending
real
back
estate and everything.
heavy.
Yeah.
So there are Kenyans who are, yes, making it, and who, maybe they're the ones who are also propagating this this need for people to
go there.
Because everyone else is seeing the amount of money that's coming in, and they're like, well, labda majuu ilikukata.
But if we're being honest, I think that's not... It's a very small percentage of people. If we just think about it, because like even if we look at and I think that's why at times, like when we're talking, like even on the podcast or even on social media, a lot of people are always crying about things like taxes. And I'm just like, you don't even know the kind of taxes people are paying abroad.
It's crazy.
It's madness. Like you'll see your whole paycheck like just go close to 50%. And then you have like things like their medical.
Yeah.
Over the roof, of course. If you want to own like a car, I don't know like how the European system works, but like, in the States, you need to have like good credit score, even to get an apartment.
Yeah, that's true.
Getting the car payments, you just don't come with a bunch of cash and pay for things.
Yeah.
You have to pay slowly, and you have to have credit as well.
And you have to have a good contract.
Exactly.
So I remember when I was looking for an apartment, once I got a job.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you have a 6-month contract and someone else has a permanent contract, they're getting the apartment, not you. You see?
Yeah.
Because they're like, this person, if that contract isn't renewed after 6 months, I'll have to start looking for another tenant.
I want somebody that's more grounded.
They're looking for someone grounded, nini. So of course, if that's not your situation, haitaenda poa.
Yeah.
However, I still want to emphasize how rich the experience was for me. I just want to take a bit of time to just explain that.
Okay.
I moved back even after having achieved very important milestones. I got my master's in, the creative economy. So I finally understood the power and the potential of storytelling. I got a scholarship at that university to start the African Fiction Academy. That's a hub where creatives can come from all over the world, from all disciplines, learn about African cultural heritage, create works of art inspired by it, and then commercialize. So what you're seeing with the Sounds of Freedom project, with Cinema in Nature, is literally a manifestation of a company that I started in 2018 as part of a scholarship I got from this French university.
Makes sense.
So I got to prototype. In 8 months, we started 13 creative ventures of different scales and different types. Things that help you explore the past, but things that even help you project the future. So it was a really like hippie construct of a master's, because we got to dissect the cultural and creative industries and see what the nexus is between these industries and commercialization. Because a lot of times artists don't, like, for artists, the commercialization part is usually a pain point.
Very tricky.
It's like, I want to do this for the passion, but how do we build sustainable models? So anyway, the master's was absolutely brilliant. I really got to build my confidence, build my skills. This was great. I also got to do an internship at UNESCO. So the United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization. I worked in the culture sector, working in cultural policy.
How was that?
That was really cool. And I ended up getting a job there. So I worked there for 3 years. So
3 years?
Yes.
What?
So to work at a UN headquarters in Paris, working on cultural policy.
That's crazy, yeah.
Running the Africa desk for cultural policy. So reporting on what governments in Africa are doing for their cultural and creative industry.
What brought you back in Kenya, man? What brought you back in Kenya? You see what I'm talking about? Now I understand why people ask you, like, what are you doing here? Come on, man. That's such a really, really nice,
It was a really good experience. So I got this very strong profile in communications and developing like advocacy solutions. but it also gave me a very clear understanding of what's needed in Africa. At the end of the day, governments are investing less than 1% in the cultural and creative industry.
That's crazy.
That's just a fact.
What? Less than 1%?
Less than 1%.
That makes no sense.
You know,
That's
there's
unfortunate.
little to no interest
Yeah.
in this sector. And that's going to be the case for the foreseeable future.
That's true. That's true.
But we know that the internet penetration, that smartphone penetration, that, you know, the globalization, that actually there's something that's happening in Africa that's very linked to culture, because all these socials, all these, you know, stuff we're doing on the different websites, this is essentially us absorbing other people's cultures. You know, this is, they call America the biggest cultural exporter.
The biggest influence. They're mighty influencers before influence was an influence.
Yeah. So they're very influential. So a lot of things we do, a lot of cultures that we've embraced, you know, are from the West, and now we're able to do them thanks to all this. So there's something that's happening that governments are not quite seeing yet and cannot really tap into. But that if we think about it as creatives, we can actually start building these things from the ground. So I was seeing it almost in a bird's eye view. And we had, of course, as UN, you have access to ambassadors, to delegations. So I was very close with the Kenyan delegation, and just to try and see what more can be done, or is there a way through, or, you know.
Yeah.
Very challenging, but really, really helped me get a full picture of what needs to be done. So a lot of the products that I've created since then have been as a result of the information that I've gotten
from the
work experience. Okay. And it's not classified documentation or like what you'd think. I was literally just Googling. Like literally nakaa tu kwa Google, nasema wacha tuone wenye hata wako na nguvu ya kureport ni kina nani.
From past experiences, these are the ones that...
Let's just see. Let's not say that we got because also when you're trying to get credible sources, you know, there's also an issue where there's what the government tells you and there's what the reality is on the ground. So there's what the governments are reporting, and we were using, you know, the reports that are coming in from journalists to make sure that this stuff checks out before we publish it. And that's when COVID was happening. You know, now BC stands for before COVID.
Not before Christ anymore.
No, it's before COVID.
Before COVID.
And before COVID, creativity in Africa was really, people weren't really online. The online community wasn't really so big.
True.
It really exploded during COVID, and it hasn't gone down since.
Yeah. Now it's just kind of
going. And so one other trend that I saw was that, of course, the tourism industry, which is one of Kenya's biggest industries, really took a hit.
Oh, yeah.
Massive. They went from, 2 million visitors a year to 0.
It was bad.
You know? And so a lot of them adapted their pricings so that they can open the domestic tourism market. Now, all of a sudden, Masai Mara was more affordable. Now, all of a sudden, it's just road
Giraffe Mana,
everyone's at giraffe. You know, so now Kenyans, in this brief amount of time, have embraced tourism.
True.
As a thing to do, as a way to enjoy yourself. Okay, fine, I can't afford to go to Kuala Lumpur or to go to Paris and do a Euro trip, but I can go to Naivasha because they have this offer. And then I can go to the lake and Jibamba, or I can go to... So, yes, Kenyans used to go to the coast a lot.
Yeah.
That was basically just it.
Yeah, they were never like exploring
Kenya,
other parts of.
Me growing up in Nairobi, I hadn't safaried. What, you're just going on safari with your family?
Going where?
Going where? We didn't really have this.
Say that shags, the usual to just shags back in India,
Yeah.
and then with your friends maybe around, Nairobi. Naivasha was common as well.
Yeah. So it opened up the country in a crazy way. And it's in opening up the country, it also exposed the reality of who Kenyans are becoming. And now we have a group of Kenyans who are still stable financially, and they're looking for new and exciting things to do.
True.
So even before the Sounds of Freedom project, I knew I had an idea of the fact that we needed to create a product that helped people rediscover their country through storytelling in really fun and exciting ways. So I knew that had to happen. And it was only a matter of time. And so I started production from Paris.
Oh, for this
project.
What? That's crazy.
We have a production studio in Donholm called Fiction Entertainment. And we started that in 2014. So that's a production house that's been around. So when I needed to, put this stuff into action, we had an entire production studio that could really just take this up. So auditions, we did them on WhatsApp. Guys sent in, because it's audio anyway. We don't need to, we're doing an audio film.
But still, like just the amount of organization that needs. That's why, like you see, even for me, you see I'm a one production man. It's just because dealing with 2 or 3 people at times, I just look at someone's like, yo, kind of competence is this? That what am I seeing now? So I'm just trying to imagine. It's not even just a matter of like the WhatsApp thing. It's just coordinating the number of people and actually making a project that's still like, when I'm guessing like when you're pitching to people this idea, telling like it's something that would grow into, it doesn't exist yet. So they don't even know what it is. And to make them like just take it seriously. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's why you see me, I'm just hitting record, because dealing with a lot of people and managing people is like not my easiest.
And it becomes like how watu wa diaspora wanajenga nyumbani.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
If you don't get the right foreman,
no.
Utaoshwa.
Yes. And you will suffer. and you'll start like hating people for no reason.
But now computers are there. Ukitaka kitu yote unaambia mtu fungua video call.
Actually.
Hebu nione studio venye vitu zinaenda. Let's get on a call. Let's get on a WhatsApp call. We get on the calls. We do all the organization. We prepare the film. We wanted to do an audio film because I was experimenting on soundscapes and sound maps and how that can be an affordable way for creatives to tell stories about their environments. So whether it's a district, whether it's a neighborhood, you can literally tell this story. If someone's at a bus stop, you could have a QR code that someone could just plug into on their headphones and listen to a bit about the area.
Okay, but now quick question. When you're developing this, in mind, do you know that you're going to incorporate the Karura work, or for now it's just like we're just coming up with like an audio film?
The latter. So we were just coming up with an audio film.
What?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying, why it sounds crazy, because that's what I'm saying, like before people, like even when you're including people in this project, you have an experience of like, you've gone outside, where this can go and everything. But now you still have to make other people believe this as well in the project as well. Because like, to be honest, like I know a lot of friends and I'm always saying this, everybody has an idea. Even if you walk outside and ask like the mama mboga, like, hey, do you have any idea? She'll give you like even a script or any. But now people to take action on it and work on it.
That's tricky. So I think my biggest challenges was around creating teams that work, that understand the vision, and understanding that your biggest resource is the team. It's not the amount of money that you push into the project and the amount of things that you
That's true.
buy. It took me, I'd say, losing a lot of money to understand how little money you actually need to start.
It's not money, yeah. It's not the money. You need people who are like understand what exactly you're doing.
And your strategy and your winning formula. So a lot of times the money you're losing is by understanding what doesn't work.
Yeah, that's true.
You see,
Because now you have to try it first. You're like,
have
okay,
to
if I
try it
spend
first.
this much, will it give me any?
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay.
Exactly. So here I am in Paris. First step before we even go anywhere is what are we creating? This audio film. What I'd experienced before was like the BBC radio dramas. That was like my reference.
Okay.
But we don't really have radio dramas as Kenyans, really. We don't really, television is bigger for drama.
Especially
for us.
like right now.
Yeah. So as much as there wasn't that reference point, it still goes back to who we are as Africans. We're storytellers, oral traditions, bado itaingia mahali hapo.
So when you're coming up with the idea for the script,
Yeah.
do you know the storyline, or even now you're still? Yes. Oh, the storyline is still the Mau Mau.
So the storyline is still the Mau Mau story.
Okay.
With script writer, we'd been wanting to do a Mau Mau film for so long. His name is Joel Tugaineo.
Wait, is that the Ugandan?
The Ugandan, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And we'd wanted to do this Mau Mau story since 2013.
He's based in Kenya or in Uganda?
We studied together in USIU.
Okay, now you see, it has to make sense, man. Because I was just saying, like, why is this Ugandan writing Kenyan stories?
You know, funny story. One of his friends came to the experience, to the walk. And he was like, yeah. They even talked about some Ugandan who scripted it. He was like, guys, we're just some Ugandan.
Yeah.
But we love using that. We love telling people about this because we're also telling people that the African story is a Pan-African story.
Yeah.
The history that we understand about the Mau Mau, it has relations with so many other people. In Uganda, for example, Idi Amin boasted about how he fought with the Scottish against the Mau Mau, But in another perspective, we have Robert Mugabe, who, while he was still a young man fighting for his country, came to Kenya and trained with the Mau Mau so that he could go back and fight for his country.
No, it makes so much sense because now if I go back, after listening to like even just the experience, now it took me back to, because me, I did the GHC.
Yeah,
so we used to be told those stories.
Exactly.
But now you start like, and then the one thing that I remember is just like, I was like, I wish these things were in school, man.
Yeah. Because they don't go as in-depth as we go.
I wish. I really
there's
wish.
links like Malcolm X, who looked up to the Mau Mau movement.
What?
Yeah. There's a clip where he literally says, in Alabama, we need a Mau Mau. In Mississippi, we need a Mau Mau. So we're seeing how a movement in Kenya that seems so isolated and no one even knows is inspiring the civil rights movement in America. So all these things are related. And so when we've worked with people from all over the world on this project, then it's only representative of the fight itself. Even in this fight, even when we say Mau Mau, even when we say the Kenya Land and Freedom Army, one of the factions of the Mau Mau was Maasai. No one knows about. I didn't even know, and a lot of things I'm finding out even as we develop the different episodes. So we have, lawyers who come and tell us, "Oh, my grandfather actually fought in the Mau Mau War." We have, the Embu, the Meru, and it was such a national movement that was really reduced to
Ah,
one
man.
tribe, but at the end of the day, it's like
Yeah.
used.
But the
It's like a
stories have
divide
to
and
be told,
conquer.
though. You see, now, if part of your tradition, you're not telling those. And it's crazy because think about it right now. Let's say in the next probably 10, 20, 30 years, the people who actually got to experience, like, even like, because I'm guessing they're like in their 90s or late
Yes,
90s,
yes, yes.
they might not be here anymore to like tell us
yeah,
their stories.
yeah. What
No.
remains?
Man, now it's just fiction. And maybe people who wrote like scripts that we do not even know if it's true or false.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
right now we still have people who are still, and I think like somebody like there's just somebody that people need to sit down and talk to, but I don't know how easy or hard that can be. But what's her name? Probably that's a job for you. Mama Ngina. Somebody needs a story from Mama Ngina.
Oh yeah.
Somebody needs to talk to Mama Ngina because
Yeah,
she's experienced everything, like, and at the highest level. Imagine just her story. If she was to just tell you, you know, like even maybe how Kenyatta used to tie his tie.
Yeah, and you remember when the late Field Marshal Modoni,
Yeah.
you know, when she was cutting her dreads, she got Mama Ngina to cut her dreads.
You
And everyone was
see.
like, "What's going on?"
You see, that's what I'm talking about.
And we
Oh my.
it's at around that same time when there was a story that came out about how they were actually detained together at some point.
It's crazy.
You know, so there is a point when Jomo Kenyatta and the Mau Mau movement were like in the same camp.
So the Mudhoni who her hair was being shaved, that's the storyline of Mukami. That's the Mukami in the...
Yes.
Oh my God.
So
what?
Mukami, for those who don't know and who haven't come to Karura yet, you're going to... Yeah. You're going to listen to the story of Mukami, who is a female freedom fighter who, unlike the usual stories we hear about the representation of women in the Mau Mau, she tells the story about the women who actually took up arms to fight. Yeah. And this is an important story that has not been told as much, but that needs to be told.
And they need to be. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's so, because even like, when did she die, Mudhoni?
When did she?
But I remember the video, like it was even shown like on TV when, right? There's a video of that.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, even if you think about like even nowadays, our entertainment and what's pushed, man, it's just a bunch of garbage, man. Yeah. When we have like amazing stories, that's what I'm saying.
Amazing stories. So
think about like if Mama Ngina is not, God forbid, when she's not here anymore and nobody has gotten like just a sit down with her and engage with her just to, I mean, those stories, who else is going to, and even like at that royalty level, because I think she's, first of all, she's the only royalty we have in the country left. For that, on that level, somebody who was with like all the other people who can tell like stories like Matiba was like this, whoever, like I'm guessing she met all these people because she was super young as well.
Yes.
To experience everything. And she, at the old age she is now, most people are gone that were with her at that time. I
think Mama Ngina's story is one that I guess we won't hear much about.
We need it,
just
man.
Because of the nuances, you know, of what we feel the Kenyatta family represents right now. You see,
yeah, but we have to forget about we need just to know. Because the thing, that's what I'm saying, like, forget about like, okay, what they represent now, if people like them or not. But what about the story?
Yeah.
Once she goes, that's it. It's like Queen Elizabeth, like never just talking about anything. They've documented everything.
Yeah, but with, especially, we do have these conversations a lot, even as we're working on this project. And for us, the reason why we'd rather focus on a character like Mokami is because these are the less known stories, you know, and these are stories about women who have almost been erased from history in things that we wouldn't even know about. people don't even know that there was a female field marshal, a woman who went all the way up to field marshal in the Mau Mau movement. You know, this is really something so important for us to tell. And I guess this is a good time to say it, is that the Mukami story is a story that we're going to continue developing.
You have to.
We have a script ready, and our next episode is going to be the Mukami story. So we're going to dive even deeper into the lives of female freedom fighters.
We need that.
Something that we can all gather around and appreciate, because, and what I absolutely love about this story is that we really meet these characters at very, almost even at times when they were unknown. Because you'll think about Field Marshal Modoni, and either you see the old woman who's a shosho who has passed on, and, you know, that's immediately the image that comes to mind. But what we're trying to connect you to is to the 20-year-old.
She was young, vibrant, energetic.
Of this very same person.
Crazy.
She didn't make these choices as a shosho.
Yeah.
She made these choices as a 20-year-old, as a 25-year-old, moving into the forest. We want people to relate with the fact that, oh, actually, these people who were fighting this war were your age and younger.
But you have, you know, here's the thing. And even before you go on, like, I have to give you your flowers by the, you have such an interesting project, because for somebody who's a creative, because, like, you know, I'm into like the arts, production, music, all those things. Like, it's things that I really appreciate, especially if, like, I've met somebody who's involved in it.
Yeah.
So even you mentioning something like just Udoni, I'm guessing, like, what kind of background research does it go to develop the character and tie it still to natural events? Do you research from friends, family, or how do you put the stories together? Because even though the characters are fictional, but it's based on a true story.
Exactly.
Because Mudhoni is screaming from like minute 1 to the last nini, like, that's just something before you even get like an aggressive woman character like that.
Yes.
I mean, is there research to family ties, or how do you just put it together?
Yes.
And we'll still go back to, like, you know, your...
Yeah, so I think one of the things that was really important to us was that it is based on true events. So the research has to be solid. But to give you context on what the research involved, the Mau Mau movement was essentially decriminalized in 2003. So before 2003, yes, with Mwai Kibaki.
Really?
Yes, before that, the Mau Mau was an illegal sect.
Hey.
Yes, so everything related to the Mau Mau was basically illegal.
In 2003?
Yes, and that includes traditional rituals that were done in the tribe itself and that were not related to
illegal them. As well?
Yes.
What?
So we had like elders.
Who made it illegal?
Traditional elders who would do ceremonies but would be arrested because that's Mau Mau activity. So before 2003, not a lot of research is going on. Maybe some Westerners, the Caroline Atkins and such, they'll come to Kenya, they'll do the interviews, they'll move around.
That's crazy.
You know, but in real sense, this is not going to happen in Moi's regime. So even all the research that was done undercover was now either being published in the West.
Yeah, because you can't do it here.
Yes. Or after 2003. So from 2003 now a burst, because a lot of Kenyans wanted to know about this history. They started going to these veterans, capturing their stories, working with them, recording. And so there's a lot of material from 2003 to now that was created that for us, we felt was sufficient to actually have a real life depiction. So we know we can't go to every single veteran, but at the same time, we don't want to repeat the process, because in research, it's not worth doing research that's been done before.
Yeah, you want something different.
You want something different. You want to find a new angle.
So what do you feel about the Kenyatta family before?
Okay, let me just finish this one, because that's a hot potato. That's a hot potato.
Now that I've thought about it, I'm just like, oh, wait. Why? I mean, that's something that's very important, but still.
Okay, so
the same way you have, like, your parts of storytelling and things you can't leave out. It's the same way, like, for me as a podcast, I'll be like, wait, hold on.
I get you. Trust me, I do.
But we can go to that at any time you want to, or like whatever you can share.
Let me tie it in then.
Because you have like a proper history on. I had a lady guest who came, and that's why, like, I even want to take you back to that. And she was explaining, because she's from Central, and she was saying like how a lot of people felt betrayed because like Kenyatta sold them like the Westerners or something. I didn't understand, because I was like, where is this coming from?
I see.
And she was trying to, first of all, she's my friend, but she was trying to tie it down to how, like, even now, like, maybe family ties are not strong because, like, there are men who had to go to fight.
Yeah.
Women were left behind.
Yes.
And how it's affected, like, the daughters, the sons differently. Like, it's just a whole thing. And she was talking about it, but I was like, I don't understand it, but we'll still reserve another episode.
Yeah. And there's a nuance that's really important. Okay, so let me just finish with the research process.
Okay.
Is that there's so much content for each and every one of us to go in and search just online, But for us as creatives, we know how difficult that is. And we know that needs a culture change.
Yeah.
People are not going to be rushing to the National Archives anytime soon just because the British released over 30,000 documents, related to their time as colonialists here. That's not going to happen.
They did.
They did in December.
This past December?
Yes.
What?
Yeah. So a lot of the files are just like administrative, nothing hot, just like records.
But you can go as an individual and actually just read them.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. So there's no rush for that now, but for us as creatives, we understand the importance of it. So we give you like an entry point, if you don't want to go through all the research, but it's still important for you to know we've done the finest research.
Yeah.
We've worked in collaboration with the National Archives. We are also in collaboration with African Digital Heritage, who are other researchers who do great work digitizing cultural heritage.
Also, they go through and then...
Yeah, they digitized even... they have 3D virtual reality reconstructions of concentration camps.
Wait.
Yes. So there's this movement.
This is accessible to the public.
This is accessible.
Hey, what?
Yeah. So there's
I
all
feel so
these
stupid,
really
man.
important things that we need to learn about our history, so that we can make different decisions about our present, and so that we can almost even guarantee a different future for next generations. We need to be at a point where even for kids, it's really important for them to learn this. So we're also going to work on a kids episode.
Do they teach I don't know what system they have now in the syllabus, but do people get like the civic education like the way we used to, like in JC?
Yes,
it's still there?
They do. They even learn about the Mau Mau fight. We saw that in the textbook in Form 3. So there's bits and pieces of everything, but we do need to get these kids to learn a bit more about what actually happened.
But that's what I'm saying, like whatever you have right now going on, I mean, I just don't want to, like as a creative, those who know. Yeah. Can you imagine like this, even like just the way people had set books and everything, but you guys develop things that can actually even go to school systems.
This becomes kind of like the set book of, this movement, It'll be fire. For sure.
No, but that's inevitable at this point. I think you're on the right track. So
yeah. So for us, it's important for people to know the good, the bad, and the ugly of this history.
Just the truth, let's say.
The truth. But we may fictionalize, but a lot of the things that are happening in the film are very real. If you look at the episode that you listen to, which is episode 2, it's called The Oathbreaker, is that we heard about the oaths fine, but what does it mean to keep the oath? What does this oath consist of? And in what situations do you find yourself breaking this oath? And this kid finds themselves, in the Mau Mau movement. They're very, very passionate. They're ready to fight. And they've run away from home, from the homestead, the white settlers' homestead. They've moved into the forest. They've taken the oath. They're ready. And now, what's the first mission?
Yeah.
It's this very same kid going back to the white settler farm that they grew up in, because this will provide a strategic advantage for the Mau Mau, because this is the police commissioner's house. And of course, this kid knows where the rifles are. So for the one leading this mission, they see this kid, they ask them, hey, so where are you from? They immediately become an asset. So if nothing else, they're there to be used.
True.
Whether they survive that mission or not.
Or not, yeah.
And that's the reality. And so this kid luckily survives. But guess what? In that same farm, there was a little boy who was a friend of his and who they grew up with, and who now coming into this war is essentially an enemy. So it doesn't matter that you used to play with James as a kid and you guys didn't see color.
Yeah. It's a whole different ball
It's
game
a
now.
whole ball game now. There's an oath involved and you have to kill this kid.
That's
So
crazy.
we put people into these situations just so that they can understand what it felt like from a human perspective and from an individual perspective. And even after breaking this oath, what does it mean to you to try and redeem yourself, to try and still fight, to try and figure out why you're fighting? As a 19-year-old kid in the 1950s, without any other context. So we want to really humanize this story and bring it to people. And that's where the home guard story comes in, is that a lot of times in history we hear about the Mau Mau and we hear about the white settlers and we hear about the British.
Yeah.
But we don't hear as much about the home guards. Now, the home guards were people who were essentially given guns and basically became an army that was there to protect the British,
They're
the
like
British
Uncle Tom's,
system,
first of all.
basically.
Yeah.
So we explore that.
That's
Before we
crazy.
even get to the Kenyatas, we explore who was this young man
True.
who
Makes sense.
picked up a rifle to go and kill Mau Maus in the forest. Now, this is the 1950s. The Second World War is gone. The British were like, we have a Mau Mau issue in Kenya. Okay, do we have leftover ammunition from the World War? Just give them as much as they need. I think it was 50 million pounds worth of ammunition in those days. And make sure you exterminate this thing for good. So the British bombers that were bombing Germany, Kenya, the British tanks, the British guns, ammunition, Kenya. We need to finish this Mau Mau story.
That's crazy.
So the people who carried these guns were Kenyan people.
Yeah.
Of the different tribes. And sometimes now, in this context, we're tempted to even... they're villains, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, in this story of ours.
Yes.
They're villains.
Yeah.
But through our story, we get to understand the nuances that were actually involved, and we get to realize that there was a difference between concentration camps and protected villages. So concentration camps were for the bad guys.
Yeah.
The Mau Mau.
I think Akina
And their
Dedan Kimathi,
families.
now when you're caught or something, you're thrown over.
They are put in the concentration camps.
Okay. And protection camps?
And now the protected villages was a light way of still keeping them in this reserve system where they're not free, but they're safe. And so
okay, from
the Mau Mau.
Come on, man.
So
yeah.
We had young men who were given rifles and told that if you want to guarantee the safety of your family, you have to go into that forest and kill some Mau Mau.
Go kill, yeah.
So we actually had people who now we consider as villains, who actually, if you ask them today, had to do this for the security of their families. So if you ask them, are you going to secure your family or are you going to fight the Mau Mau movement? You decide. So in the way that the British even honored these home guards for the villainous acts that they did in this forest, also shows you how twisted the colonial psyche is.
Crazy.
You see.
Okay,
So
just mess around with your head and it's you killing your own people.
They'll say that, let's forget what happened. Let's forget the 15,000 Mau Mau that were killed in the forest.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Buried in mass graves.
That's crazy.
Unmarked mass graves. Let's forget the over 100,000 people who were detained. And let's almost even, which is something very interesting that we're seeing, now, is let's honor the independence heroes. And let's just have these conversations with the British. But there's a conversation, mali hapo katikati, that will be very, very difficult for Kenyans to have. Because
there's a lot of unfinished business.
There's a lot of unfinished business. And even if you look at the rivalry within some of these communities, it stems from that.
Okay, makes sense.
You see? So these are some of the truths that we're trying to tell through fiction, through creativity. And because we can't afford to have such topics politicized. We absolutely cannot. You see, we just have to be real with each other.
Yeah.
We have to put ourselves in positions where we can heal as a people.
True.
To understand, okay, our grandparents were in very compromising situations. And as a result of that, the resources that we have as a family are different
than what these people have. Yeah.
And our political class inherited a system that was just built to work for them, but that in real sense, was not built for the people, because the people were meant to be in camps. The people were meant to be in the fields farming. So of course, in the DNA of the previous constitution, it didn't have the people at the center, which is what's different with this current constitution. Is that this one actually gives power to the people. It removes these barriers that we had because of what our grandfathers did or did not do, what our grandmothers did or did not do, where they grew up, who did what. Those are still conversations that are important to have for us to move forward.
Yeah.
But it almost even puts us on the same even field, you see. And that's why even now when you think about the constitution we have, it's really about, let's just implement it as it is and it'll work for all of us. So the conversations that we're having, even with the different partners, even with the different parties, it's really just so that we're all in the same breath. When we were starting this, we thought, we're doing a Mau Mau project. Guys will think we're like, we're like crazy people. But we are so surprised at some of the partnerships that we've got. The National Museums of Kenya, very supportive. We've had, we're still trying to get in with like the Ministry of Culture. I think that's something that's important to do.
I mean, the government, though, man, it makes no sense.
It's really a tough place to navigate.
Can you imagine if they don't do this and then somebody from a whole Elon Musk's the one who's sponsoring like
Yeah,
such a project. That would be
exactly.
like extreme.
Exactly. But thank God now we are
Yeah.
Kenyans who are telling our own story, and
Yeah.
we are actually creating this opportunity for everyone to come to the table. We have people like the British Council who came on board and were like, we think this conversation is important. We think that the British have a part to play.
First of all, they don't have a choice. They have to be on board. Yeah, listen, I'm just saying, it's the least they can do. It's the least they can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, they've always been supportive of arts, if you think about it.
They've
like
been very
from
supportive of
way back.
arts. But remember, ours is a subject
this is super sensitive.
that's super sensitive.
Yeah.
So even we were so surprised when the French embassy came on board and they were like, yeah, this is an important story. We need to, you know.
But you see, like, but that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like even you saying, like we are still trying to see if we can get the ministry on board. That's something that should be approved. Like in a perfect world, that's something that should be like just approved immediately. But unfortunately, of course,
and I think for us, it's more important to ground ourselves and be an independent entity.
Yes.
That is empowered by the people. So when we bring all these partnerships, we're just bringing them in so that we make sure we're not putting anyone at risk, or that anyone who comes and experiences this is in a safe place, or that we have the necessary badges of approval so that we can continue the work that we're doing. Another important partner is like that we're hoping to get on board is the Kenya Institute for Curriculum Development. You know, how can we get such a story into the education system? Because this is important. And at the end of the day, we do need to get to a place, even as creatives, where we are working with a government that serves us, because we are the government and we are the people, you know. So this dissociation, you know, it really needs to get to a point where we're all nation building. You know, we're all saying, hey, in my different ways, this is what I'm doing for my country. I think this is still a step that we're not yet there at, but that we will get to eventually.
You will.
And
plus, also as a creative, just sorry to interrupt you, I don't want to forget this, because also as a creative, you do understand that at some point you have to do the films, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to be out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, at this point, you've already committed way too much that... Like, it makes no sense. Like, eventually, it has to be like film, whether it's movie, short films, or series.
Yeah.
But I think like it's just perfect because that's a story based on actual events. So plus, it can be endless. Yeah. This can go up to 10 seasons.
Yeah.
New character from this side, new character from this side. Like you've said, like just from like the guards to like of course I still have to touch on the royalty. We still need to know what's going on. Yeah. Like what really happened.
Yes.
Regardless of whether someone is liked or not. I think it's still important part of the story.
Yeah.
And like just when once you go into like that production, the same way you're saying episode 3 is about this.
Yeah.
I can just only imagine like in the next like 5-6 years what it'll have grown to.
Exactly. And it's exciting ways to rediscover our own city. So even when we were choosing Karura Forest, we were just researching on locations that hold this heritage. The obvious ones are Mount Kenya and Aberdare, and then there's the not so obvious ones. And we got to find out that there are actual Mau Mau caves
in Karura. Crazy.
You see? And that this forest was interlinked. You know, when we think of the Kenya of now, there's high rises everywhere. But all these things connected. There's Mau Mau caves at Paradise Lost. There's Mau Mau caves at Kereita Forest, all the way to Aberdare. So it was really one network. And so when we look at Karura, first, it's the biggest natural sanctuary.
Amazing.
In the city,
beautiful.
You know, and so this already gives us a premise to say enough people know about this place
Yeah.
for us to be confident enough that if we come in with a new story, then it can be appreciated, and it's also very centrally located. So
We
it's
have this
never
in
too
the
far.
city. So
It's literally in the city.
that's
So you don't need to go for a road trips. Do you wapi ama do nini? You come, you get your steps in,
yeah.
you really unwind, and even with the painting,
Nice.
how we incorporated that is that, okay,
Yeah.
we've listened to a deep story, but how can we decompress? How can we do something creative that helps us release this in a positive way?
Yeah.
So that's all happening in Karura. That's all something that I'm really glad you came, and that more people should come through. And
Amazing.
there's an
experience.
episode you haven't listened to.
The new one?
No. You listened to episode 2.
Yeah.
So
wait.
there's episode 1 that you haven't listened to.
Oh, that the whole thing was episode 2.
Yes.
Come on now.
Yeah.
What's going on? What's going on?
So we did. Yeah.
So you do
And
reruns.
that follows a whole other trail. So you're not walking in the same place in Karura.
Okay.
You're discovering different parts of the forest.
So when is the when are you? Or you'll announce on your pages when you're doing like the one.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll be on start. I'll be just waiting for. But now here's the thing. Now once I'm sucked into like this whole storyline.
Yeah.
And then I think the latest is episode 3.
Episode 3 is
that
coming
you're working
out.
on,
That's
right?
gonna be the Mukami story. Yeah.
Okay, so now here's the thing. Once I have the Mukami story,
Uh-huh.
I have to wait again now. Come on, man. Listen, I'm the kind of person already on Netflix. I want to binge watch TV, but I think it's good to also be at the forefront that, it's like an exclusive.
Yeah.
Like when this one is released, I'm there listening.
Yes, exactly.
And I think that's also like a really different experience as well.
And we're writing them such that they are independent stories. So you're not missing anything by having listened to episode 2.
Okay.
You didn't even notice. You didn't even realize the difference that there's a whole other story in a different part of the forest.
I thought it was 1 and 2 because when you said, I think when we got halfway to the walk, said something to do like, okay, this is the
first part.
First part of episode 2?
Yeah,
or
it
no,
was the
second?
first part of episode 2.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think in my head, it just registered like, okay, if it's first, I've had first and second, it means that's the first and the second story that you put together because the journey was long.
And a lot of times when people hear this story, they're like, so are we walking while listening to music? So what's going on? Why am I in the forest? And our
makes so much
only
sense.
Exactly. So our only advice is usually just come to Karura and we'll take care of the rest. If you have just the littlest curiosity about what your history really was, just come through. And as we build this together, this is something that's a complete and holistic experience for everyone who navigates it. And this becomes an entry point into deeper conversation.
Yeah. I think I remember like even the ladies I was speaking to, they were both from New York, but they said their dad came to Kenya probably around the 60s or 70s to look for greener pasture or something.
That. Yeah.
I was like, wait, what? So your dad probably knows stories about like even back in the days, how it used to be and everything.
Yeah.
And it was just interesting because you bump into people, you start talking, and you also understand like why they were interested, and then they're like.
And the Asian story is also a very important one to Kenya's history,
Yes.
A lot of times they're so, we're so divided. We were divided in terms of like social and racial classes.
Yeah.
And then we have someone like Piogama Pinto.
Who's that?
Piogama Pinto was originally, I think, Goan, who came through to Kenya.
Yeah.
And he basically became a journalist and he became an ally to the Mau Mau movement.
Ooh.
Yeah. And he was Asian.
So that's a whole different storyline again.
Exactly. So and there are creatives who've done entire series on Piogama Pinto.
Where?
Kenyans.
Wait, they've done, what have they done?
Yes. There's a podcast called Until Everyone is Free. They've done an
about
entire
his
series.
storyline.
Yes. about
What?
Piogama Pinto. So even this was one of the things that made me realize, oh, actually, we're in the right direction because we're different creatives from totally different backgrounds,
Yeah.
but all finding it important to tell different parts of this story of Kenya's heritage. And even as we move into other storylines, I think that's still going to be important.
Is he still alive or he's
He was
late?
he was one of the first political assassinations that Kenya had. Yeah.
Okay.
He
Man.
was a good friend of Malcolm X,
What?
and they were assassinated the same week.
Oh, wait.
Yes.
Man, that's what I'm saying. But, once you start
Yeah.
like just getting intrigued with such stories, you understand like also just the importance of why we need them out there.
Exactly.
We need them out there. It makes so much. That's why I'm saying like you see the possibilities on how, especially you guys are doing it.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah. So
such a beautiful position to be in.
Thank you so much. And we're really honored about all the support that we've gotten, even when we started.
Yeah.
So just to give you a timeline, we released episode 1 in October 2021.
Oh,
Yes.
what?
And for 3 years after that, we were exhibiting the project. So it was at Nairobi Design Week. We did that twice. It was at, we did it at Alliance Francaise. Cultural hubs, kind of. We did it at USIU. And then finally we did it at Nairobi Festival 2023. And we had actually started the Cinema in Nature project in June 2023. And believe it or not, it was a flop.
Wait, really?
It was a
people didn't show up, or
guys
what happened?
didn't even show up.
But okay, now that even you've said that, I think even in Nairobi, I don't know how you can tap. Like, I don't even understand how it worked, because even for Nairobi Design Week,
Yeah.
I think I remember seeing something to do with that.
Yeah.
But I didn't pay any attention to it.
Yeah.
I could see, because even the one that was in Karen, I mean, I went probably twice.
Yeah.
But that's just not something that came to my radar. I was just trying to look of things, somebody in a stand.
Exactly.
But like just me sitting down.
Yeah.
But that's why like the nature walk, that's a completely different ballgame.
So the first time we tried it, didn't work.
Like how many people came?
We moved, granted about 45 in the span.
What do you mean it flopped?
In the span of a month. But 45 people in a month.
Like spread out in the month.
Yes.
So probably like 8 people, 7 per session.
And that's not enough to run.
Yeah.
It's not enough to run the experience. So we then tested about 8 different types of events just to try and understand who our market is.
Okay.
And I think that we can do a whole founder stories or whatever around that. But we had a collaboration with Bonkers. That's a streetwear brand. So we made Mau Mau themed streetwear clothing.
I know Bonkers.
Yes. And, that also was an interesting way for us to express this creativity. We did a treasure hunt. So we were doing all these cool events. We did one in Kilifi where we had Field Marshal Modoni meets Mekati Lili, and that was, we did a mural in the coast. And then finally we did the Nairobi Festival. We were right next to the Mau Mau Monument, and we had haystacks where you could come, sit down, and paint as you listen.
So paint, put down the headphones, and then...
Yeah. So that ended up taking off in a very good way, because even the team that we got on board absolutely understood the concept. So actually that's where things changed. And even when I look back at what didn't work, I realized that it was just not the right fit of people to form like a really successful team.
True.
And sometimes some people will never find that synergy. Others do not need to because they're not in the kind of industry that needs chemistry.
Yeah.
But for us, you really need to blend with people who understand the vision.
You have to.
And thank God we did. So when we saw that energy that was at Uhuru Park, it was electric.
Really?
And so this is something that we said, this cannot die. And this was also a cool way for us to actually be public facing, because honestly, and no insult to any of them, in all the different places we exhibited, these were very niche crowds. So it's either people who are like really into immersive media or like really, so for the general public to understand what you're doing,
that's crazy.
It was our biggest hurdle. Because even when we explain our technology, a lot of people are like, wait, what? So the film is in the forest, so it's like augmented reality sound. The technicals are just way too complicated. And this Uhuru Park show really helped us figure out our language and how we can relate.
So people actually really, and this is because the people who are like the hardest to get their general public, extremely hard.
Exactly.
So if you have them, that means you're just on the good track.
So we saw that energy and we said, we need to take this back to Karura. This very same energy, we're taking it back to Karura.
Yeah.
And surely enough, when we opened Karura in January 2024, we got 72 people on the first day.
What? Wait, so you hadn't done another Karura experience until that? So after that experience of attempting, you're like,
Kisha chomo, etulia bana, kunywa maji.
So you wait, but you see, like now that also just shows, even if you believe in something, just go out of your way, figure out another way how to promote it.
Yeah.
And it just still shows it's just maybe the marketing or how
the marketing,
reaching.
it's the timing. There's so much involved.
But you've still gone back to.
And we even have a paintball shooting experience.
With what?
For this very same series.
Oh,
exactly
no.
what you listened to.
Wait, I get a heart attack. High blood pressure. Wait, what?
Yeah. I'm telling you, it's very, very exciting. Very exciting.
That's wild, but completely. Wait, do you, and even before we go back to that, what platforms do you guys like just advertise trying to reach out to people?
Great. So January, 72 people. How do we get there?
Yeah.
We actually took a clip from June because we were taking some social media clips.
Yeah.
We took a clip from June and we boosted it on Instagram. And we boosted for 7 days with a budget of 1,000 shillings a day.
What?
This is not we've broken the bank.
But you know the prices have changed now.
A bit. But still, we still work between 1,000 and 1,500 a day.
And it still managed to get you those numbers?
Yeah.
What?
And so that became an engine for us. When we saw the first show get 72, we were like, huku hatutoki.
We can't take this for granted anymore.
We opened the very next Saturday.
Ooh.
And we just kept going since then. But remember, we're marketing a very unique experience, so we can't afford to even be open all weekends. Like we literally have to gauge from the success of the previous show and see
then you're like, okay,
how many people from weren't able to make it last week, but they can come through the next week. And so like people DM us and they're like, when's the next one? We're like, are you available this Saturday? Yeah, let's go. Unapata watu watatu, unafungua, unasema hapa acha tubahatishe. Let me just go. 50 shows later. 2,000 people later.
That's crazy.
And this is in the span of a year. We had a very busy 2024 and we're really happy. We're really honored about all the support that we got. This is maybe just something that's really interesting for us, is that throughout the shows online, we have like a 60-40 women to men. Yeah. Audience. Yeah.
60.
60 women,
Really?
40% men.
They're more interested
Yes.
in the storylines.
Yes.
What?
So it can get up to like 65% of our online audience are
Wonder why.
women. Now, here's the interesting thing. Over 90% of our Karura community are women.
Wait, what?
Yes. Even in the trip you went to, you realized you were very few men.
Actually, true. Ooh, true. True. Very, very true. Yes, actually.
You
Wait.
realize. So
Was one guy or two guys behind me or three?
Max, I think
There was
you
a
were
couple
3 guys.
and then like one or two extra guys.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. That's it. So we've been so
true.
so surprised, but we've been so supported because you know, while we're almost even on an open, like on a balanced field online, the people who are actually like, you know what, let me just go to Karura. You know what, I think this is interesting. I'd like to just wear headphones, get my steps in. This experience actually has really been, and yes, of course, this audience could balance out.
I'm still trying to figure out like why men are not interested in that story, or just the Karura experience in general. Wait, on the tracks, is it just women who are gone there most of the time? It's mixed.
So. I think it's quite mixed.
So
even
why?
when you go there,
it's actually just quite mixed. Yeah. Actually, a lot of guys in bikes and everything.
Yeah. What I've realized even in my own cultural research is that women across the board are the first adopters of cultural content. So women are way more sensitized to this reflection about past through a creative way.
Actually, even reading books and novels, women do that a lot.
They've been doing that, a whole lot more.
True.
So we're literally held like as a business, supported by women.
That's crazy.
And even in our storytelling, you see the story of Mukami that obviously resonates with our audience because they know that.
Yeah, if they live there, there's just like women empowerment. If we've had that Mukami episode, you're like, hey.
Yeah. So this has been, a really special thing for us to discover and for us to continue being, supported by, and for us to maybe even challenge the guys and be like, hey, this is also your story.
So even from the 2,000 people, like you can notice like there's a bigger crowd of women.
And quite literally from the 10% who come through, a lot of them are coming with their boyfriends or like their husbands.
They probably dragged the boyfriend to like the
or maybe
we have to go for
young boys who came with their moms. You see,
makes sense.
Or it's moms who've brought it's daughters who've brought their moms or who've brought their sisters. So there's this real community that's really been built over time, that it's people who actually, a majority of our audience make their decision in 72 hours.
Yeah, that happened to me as well,
Yeah, for them, it's just like, oh, I saw this, it's this Sato, watch out tuishie.
In fact, I told myself, the only way I know I'll make it to this event is if I buy a ticket now.
Yeah.
So even if, worst case scenario, I can miss it, but I bought the ticket because I want to go. So I was like, and I also like, I've bought the ticket, I have to commit. So let me just go.
Yeah. So really just shout out, big shout out to our community.
Yeah.
When you wametushikilia, a lot of people were like, hii kitu, labda matourist. Enda, hata nkusho wazungu watapenda hii kitu.
Okay, hold on.
Wazungu watapenda hii.
Now I have to throw in something there as well once you've said something like that.
But big shout out to Kenyans who are really just coming up and saying, this is our story, we're taking it.
Yeah.
Na niende home.
So,
nijibambe.
Even on that note, because I asked, my question was earlier, like, how do you reach people, right?
Yes.
And then have you put this like on something like Airbnb experiences?
No, we haven't actually.
Something that you might explore?
we did explore. It didn't work, but I
you
think
did? You explored it?
yeah, it totally didn't work. But again, this sometimes maybe it's just a question of timing.
Just timing, and keep pushing it as well, because like after a few people have had the experience, because then again also it's also, you have to understand, like even like from the previous work that I was in, like even the girls, like I said, I met also with them, it's just something that was very interesting to them. And they don't live here as well.
Yeah.
And it's something they saw online and they had an experience.
They just picked up and jumped on.
But I think if you can include it in Airbnb experiences, because it doesn't cost any money, I guess, if you have a profile.
There's a small commission.
Yeah, small commission probably after they book and stuff. But there are people who come with buses, and that can be included like in their package too. Because as much as like, yes, we're feeding, it's Kenya for Kenya, but there's so many other people who are still always, and white people are curious about everything.
It's true.
About everything. So they will still enjoy the story.
A solid 2% of our audience are international arrivals. A solid 2%. Now, just comment still on how strong our female audience is that, there's this hidden gems like trend that's going on,
like on TikTok and stuff.
And if you look really closely, women are the adventurers of a lot of these experiences. So they're the ones who are really excited to just go out, go somewhere different. And another thing is, our event is a drug-free event. Yeah. So no alcohol. Guys who want to come and smoke. You wouldn't make it even
if you try and drink. I don't think you'll make it through the storyline. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Even if it's a hangover and you come for the walk, you'll pass out. It's impossible.
Legit.
Yeah, it's impossible.
So I'm wondering whether it's an issue of lifestyle choices. But I do think that women are more comfortable in sober spaces.
That's true. That's true.
This is my guess.
Because even for me, if I was to think and invite like any of my friends, like the ones on WhatsApp group, guys, I don't think so. Because like I know from all my friends, I'm the only one who wakes up in the morning to go for my walks around Huru Gardens. Yeah. And when I'm around Huru Gardens, I can see a small percentage of men, but most it's women. Yeah. A lot of women. Yeah. And
it's something that I think we've picked up as a generation from our papses, which is like, hey, mwanaume apendangi kwenda hospitali. But a chick will be the first one to get fit. No, whether it's for their own health, whether it's for their own confidence, they're going to be at the gym before you are.
And even
it'll always be a catch up, even for guys.
And even to piggyback on that, a lot of like now when it comes to old age, you will notice, unfortunately, a lot of wives are outliving their men because due to health. Yeah. Like the way you've just said, like, men don't want to go for checkups, exercise, or maybe like just eat right. Like at times you see like an old mother picking greens like in the soko and she's arguing with the nini. It's like, apana, sio easy. Ninataka nini. I'm like, bro, this woman is legit making sure anything that goes in her body is like up to par.
Yeah, and it's still from our papses.
Actually true.
Kwa nyumba, ukiangalia chakula inakuliwa kwa nyumba, it's very organic, it's very healthy, it's really nutritious. Yeah. Lakini mabaa pia zimejaa na ni nyama choma na pombe.
Actually that's true. But that's why nowadays I'm even telling that's true. That's true. Actually, me. I want to live for a very long time. I cook my food. I exercise.
Let me say this way. Jaja wanawake. Wow.
True. True.
I think in a way, we've been able to see a part of our society that we weren't even aware of, and that we may need to do a bit more work and outreach to get different audiences on board, so that even before we think of, and no offense to anyone visiting Kenya, but even before we think of the visitors, tuangalie hao wanaume wetu, our fellow guys. We're two guys literally talking on a podcast about, this importance of history, of culture. This should be, in a way, even just an entry point for a lot of men to come on board as well and to share the story before we, take it to different audiences. And as we build and as we grow in the different audiences, of course, with the schools that we welcome, it's more balanced, but it's a school. So
also now they have to come to the school either way. So they don't have a choice.
Hawana choice, but when you want a choice, actually, tumeona hiyo tofauti.
That imbalance. You can call it an imbalance by the way.
Another very interesting crowd that we've gotten is the Christian community. So we've gotten churches that want to do this experience as part of their outings. And initially we thought, Mau Mau.
Violence.
Mau Mau in Jesus' name. So we're very surprised but very happy to see what's going on in the Christian community, such that they'd want to rediscover their history and past. Good. That's absolutely exciting.
And a very niche community that can come in very big numbers as well.
Exactly. And you see, even for them, what we realized through all these conversations is that even the church in Africa is going through a decolonization.
True.
Is growing its own African identity. We have, groups like the PCA who are Christian, and for the Kikuyu community, they bury them facing Mount Kenya. For example.
Wait, really?
Yes.
So the coffin itself is dug facing
Mount Kenya. You know? So we have interesting, and they broke off from the church.
Why is that, first of all? Why are they buried facing Mount Kenya?
It's part of the Kikuyu. I think it's part of a Kikuyu
that's a tradition.
Tradition, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So we're seeing a decolonization of the church that's going on anyway. We're seeing a lot of Christians who still want to find out more about their traditional heritage, who are still very strong. We hear this word Rorashio so much, but these are traditional marriages that are happening still within religious context. So of course it makes sense but it's an assumption that we made initially, that the community has come themselves to let us know we are here, we appreciate what you're doing, and we want to support you.
I think even understanding the religious context that was there before the British came in would be very important, because I was born, the Bible was already there, and people were doing things in a certain way in church. So being able to understand probably how then, before just the British came in, like how it was, I think that would be very... And you see, these are some things that, whether if you think about it, Kenya is super young.
It really is. It really is.
If you count 100, when did we gain our independence?
63.
But you've talked about even the Mau Mau fights happening around 1950s, right?
Yes.
So from 1950s to right now, we're talking about just 70, 80 years.
Yes.
We're not even at 100.
Not.
Crazy. What?
So those links are really apparent to us. One of Dedan Kimathi's last letters was to a priest, and you'd think, hey, Mau Mau, it'd be... But we see even through such letters that the goal of the Kenya Land and Freedom Army was not to exterminate the white man. It was just to gain their land back that was wrongfully taken, to get their rights back, and to stand as peers. You see, if we were fighting side by side in World War II in a war that we had nothing to do with, then we might as well also say, yes, we helped enough you fight. Can you also come and help us do this? Can we have this international collaboration? That's fine.
Makes sense.
It's critical for us to grow these bonds internationally because what divides us is the politics. It's that, you see, this colonialist, wanafaa watoke, or
Yeah.
the idea is that even for the white settler who's here in Kenya right now, they're Kenyan. They'll
Yeah.
go 2027, they'll vote.
Yeah.
The idea is, and I watched the movie Battle for Laikipia. You should check it out if you haven't.
I haven't. Who told me about
should check
that?
it out.
Wait,
It's
is it showcasing now?
Yeah, I saw it at Prestige.
I think that's what.
Yeah.
Actually, those girls were telling me about that movie.
Yes. They were talking about it as well.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. So I think I'll make it a priority.
And when we see such works, the idea is that we're not asking you to go home. We're just asking you to be a reasonable neighbor.
Yes.
There's been a drought. The cows don't have grass.
You have a water source.
You have a water source. You're seated on 60,000 acres.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Of course, it's going to bring conflict.
That's crazy.
You see?
Yeah.
So instead of telling this person, read a book,
Yeah.
you need to come into the civilized age. Respect each other. If for you these books and things are what is important for you, keep it. But know how to live with your neighbors.
I think even one thing about travel that I noticed is people have it so easy in Kenya. Not easy in a bad way, but as a foreigner, it's easy to maneuver around Kenya, settle, do business, and it's not as any other country out here.
Yeah.
Man, you can't do anything. You can't. But unless you have proper ties with someone, even after marriage, it's still not easy. It's extremely hard.
It's true.
So, like, people just, in Kenya, we're just a culture that's very, I don't know where that came from, but we're very, very welcoming.
Yeah.
To visitors, guests, tourists, very accommodating.
Yeah.
Yo, guys, if you start traveling and go to different places, somebody will just look at you just because you look different. They're already not welcoming to you.
And this is in Africa as well.
Yes. Oh, yeah, of course. I don't know where.
Watakuja wakuone Arusha
Yeah.
as Nairobian as you are.
No,
you stand out like a Southern.
It's crazy because it makes no sense, because us, we are always like, even like Hakuna Matata, Karibu. Your Kenyans, we are so accommodating. We actually just love visitors.
Yeah, and it extends it even internally as a country.
Yeah.
With the different tribes.
True.
Intermarriage has always been a part of our culture. Always.
True.
It's not something that started with colonialism. It's actually something that the colonialists tried to get rid of. Because they want to be able to tell.
Divide and conquer.
Who's this one, who are they? But this one, and then you tell them, I'm from this community, but the other one, and then there.
Yes, very
You'll
true.
confuse people. But we're so welcoming even within our cultures. Even for orphans, for example. These are children that were taken up by the community.
Yeah.
So, of course, we'll extend this very same thing to the very next person. But how can we embrace this nature of ours in a positive way and in a way that's constructive to our country? You see, how can we build policies that are adapted to who we truly are as Africans?
I think it starts with the storytelling. That takes us back to the storytelling background.
Yeah. So these are just entry points that we hope to have. We hope a kid will come through to Karura and say, I learned a bit more about, or I learned some values, or I learned something about not, just respecting all peoples. And I learned that through this interesting film that I did and that I've been following throughout the years, and that, I'm hoping it becomes something like this.
Okay. So now I'm just looking at that. I didn't even realize how long we've been going by the way, but I've seen we've already clocked 2 hours. But what I want to know, no. What I want to say is that I know for a fact this shouldn't be like the end of the podcast episode. We can always do like a part 2.
Yeah.
But for this one, I think we've really squeezed the Yeah, 2 hours should be enough. Yeah.
We've done the juice.
But I have so many other questions, but I want that to be referenced to part 2.
Okay.
So that I can also like just go do also like now more research.
Yes.
So that now when you say something, I'm also like what?
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So I can just collect also like some of my notes as well and come back with other questions. But I think that also just shows you once we start talking about like, that's why I was telling you, I don't need to prep you.
Yeah.
Because most of the things that you will say, I can always just attach a question to it, and then it opens another door.
Yeah.
But there's so much. But whatever you have going on right now, very special. You should protect it.
Asante.
And even if the government doesn't come on board, we know it's like it's a lot of work to work with our government.
Yeah.
But the way you've said, like, as long as you can do something independently and you know the course of your journey, you have like they can meet you halfway somewhere.
Exactly. And as long as we are supported by our own community,
then
that's what gives us the strength to keep going. A lot of times as creatives, we struggle to find sponsorship, or we struggle to find financing or things like this. And I think it's really, one would be in a privileged position, but a very secure position if you're held together by the very same people who consume your content.
True. But also another thing, before we wind up, I've just remembered right now, and since you're talking about like even people like funding your project, finding like just people who can like at least compensate you as you're still figuring out your journey. You talked about some technical difficulties that you had as you were trying to still figure out, like, you know, the wireless headsets and everything. But how was that before you figured out like, okay, now this is the perfect equipment for that? Because like I said as well, like that's maybe something close I've seen to that would be the silent disco. But I still don't see the silent disco like as a thing nowadays, like in Nairobi. I don't think like people tried, but it wasn't. But you mentioned something like close to technical difficulties you experience when you are doing like your fast episodes and walks.
Yeah, even scripting was quite tricky, because how do you script within an environment and you know you're moving within a space? So that took so long for us to really figure out. It took really long for us to figure out, even just from a script level, even just from a production level, because we hadn't produced an audio film before.
Yeah,
you know,
so you don't even know the logistics that go behind it. Don't even know the
logistics, the feelings, but we got that, thankfully.
Yeah.
We wanted to. There was this company called Echoes that does immersive sounds, and that we partner with. They're UK based. That does like immersive soundscapes. So it's almost like an app that's a tour guide app kind of, you know, so you discover different places. There's sounds hidden in different places geographically, so that if you enter the space, like now when you enter Karura, that's where the film is. So we got to run through a technical hurdle with them as partners, because they already have the software they've developed for that. But even for them, it's such an avant-garde, it's such a new thing, you know, even in Europe. And so how do we bring it all together? But now for Europe, it's like individual plays, and you can just download the app and listen by yourself. Whereas here, we prefer to do things communally. Yeah. So that's where the silent disco comes in, is that we can all be listening to the same thing while we're moving through the forest. And the first iterations, we were powering this silent disco transmitter, because it needs a socket and you're in the forest. You know, so like such simple things. How do you power? The first experience, we powered it with a car battery, believe it or not.
How? And
Plugged
walking
it from the car.
And walking with it?
In a backpack.
Ah, man, that's mad.
Plugged it from the car, powered the transmitter, and did the experience, you know.
What?
After that, we got a border battery, so it's a bit lighter. Then we got a solar battery that's even more lighter, but the technical difficulties, they are crazy, until we now eventually imported wireless transmitters. So that's what we're using now. So the technical bit of it is always going to be a learning curve. the newer and the more innovative it is. But I think the most important thing, especially when you're working on such an innovative project, is to simplify it for audiences. They don't need to know all that. For them, it's just put headphones.
Yeah, but like
go.
Even for us, the thing is, like, even for me, I tried to remember, like, I kept on looking the person who's the last and the person who's like in front the most.
Yeah.
This transmission is really good. There's no cutoff or anything.
Yeah.
Frequency, everything was just really clear.
Really smooth.
Yeah. And I think that's like where I also had to like say, yeah, props.
Yeah.
Because you experience something different. That's what I'm saying. Like, people who just, not in a bad way, but a lot of Kenyans just go for sherehe and that's it.
Yeah.
But when you experience something like this, walk, listening, and nothing per se is going wrong, you're like, what? Okay, these guys are actually doing something,
Yeah.
Sikubahatisha, like they actually know their shit. So that I have to give you props. I respect that a lot.
Asante. We have guys in the team who did physics.
Oh,
it helped out.
Oh, mad props.
Yeah, and of course our headphone partners, they're called Bliss and Beats.
Bliss and Beats.
Yeah, they do the silent disco.
You are in partnership with them?
Yes. So they've been wameshikilia sana.
Are they Kenyan?
Yes.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
So they provide the ninis?
Yeah, the headphones.
Nice.
So ideally, like, you can reach out to them even if you have your own movie nights and stuff like that. And all the different stuff. If you're doing your paint and sip and you want to have some headphones or whatever, they're that kind of partner. Whatever, even if it's a conference, and you're just trying to make your conference have different groups, have different discussions. There's so many ways in which they work that we found so interesting and so dynamic, and we thought, why not do it for this cultural and creative story? We're telling this Mau Mau story in the forest. Why not have, why not move through the forest as we do this? And they're usually at the tunnel on Sundays. So like when you're listening to Formula One, Mombasa Road.
Really?
Yeah, Formula One.
They give people the headphones so now to focus on.
So nyinyi mna focus. Nyinyi mko Formula One, wengine wakiwa sherehe.
That makes sense.
Nyinyi mko Premier League, wengine wakiwa sherehe. So that works very well for them, and we're glad it works for us.
For you as well.
Karura,
yeah.
Initially when we came, we told them, we want to do this event. They were like, oh, you can only do events in designated event spaces. You see, so we had
picnic
to change,
area or something.
So we had to change our whole thinking such that, we're not an event anymore.
Yeah.
Externally, when we're marketing an event, but internally it's a tour.
Okay.
You see, so
and that's something that with them aligns with.
Yes, because anyone can go with their headphones in Karura.
Makes sense.
Right. So we just had to, find,
of course,
compromises and, make things work even within our partnership with Karura. That over the years has been growing very well, and they've been very supportive.
And even for them to support something, like, they understand the importance to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
They know that there's where they can get to, and there's audiences that they may not, know, but who would all benefit from this ecosystem. And their support has been enormous. And we're hoping, even as we stay in Karura, we can tell more Karura stories. Like the story of Wangare Maathai, who fought for this forest.
Yeah. Facts. Actually, that's a big one as well.
Yeah.
And I also have like a very important question. And, as a creative, there's some things that, or just like procedures that you have to take to, of course, protect your own ideas.
Yes.
And we all know like how Kenyans are. They see an M-Pesa is working.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'm opening an M-Pesa.
Yeah.
They see Nini. Somebody might see like, oh, this is working. Now they're starting Alu and Amagere tour uko hivyo, headphones Nini pia. Walking the Nini in the middle of Western. Another one starting another one like in Kisumu. How can you be able to protect such beautiful idea so that it still maintains its identity and still have like that exclusive experience? You know how Kenyans operate,
no,
right?
I get it. I think for us, what's we're in such a small space that competition would be the healthiest thing for what we're all trying to achieve. If someone's trying to do a Luanda Magere story in Kisumu, we'd even be happy to help them set that up for themselves and do that their own way. If we can all come in and realize, oh, Sounds of Freedom are doing this thing in Karura and it's really working for them, and now they have 15,000 followers, and so maybe this can work for me too. That should inspire them to tell more African stories, and that'll only create now the diversity that we need for healthy competition. I think we're not yet, because if you think really about what we do, there's not much that we can say ini copyright ama ini IP yenye lazima tukwambie.
No, I'm just trying to look at, how and think
the
about
Mau Mau story.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a story anyone can tell anywhere. They don't need any of my permission, just the same way I didn't need anyone's permission to do a Mau Mau story because it's part of our history. That's done. Silent disco, you can technically go and hire your own set of headphones. You, after you've created your film, your silent disco head, it's not an innovation yenye that you nasema situ ndo
tutai copyright
nobody
else.
You see, Karura si yetu. Karura ni ya kila mtu na ni ya kila Mkenya.
That's true.
Painting, paint and sip zimekuwa ngapi hii Nairobi?
Many.
Ni mob. It's just that we've combined it all into one experience. But taking it away, these are all parts of the creative industry that work very well.
True. But remember, at the end of it all, you still have like you want to grow this to like the highest level possible, right? But for me, I'm just asking out of curiosity, like also now as an entrepreneur, if I put my entrepreneur hat on, I'd ask like, okay, so are you ready for something like that? Because I'm just saying it because like Kenyans really love jumping into trends. Because they could be like maybe a rich kid just somewhere just looking and they have nothing else to do with their money. They're like, let me stand my own, fund it as much as I can, throw as much money as I can to it. And it's piggybacking on something that, let's just be honest, you've done your research, the course of probably over 10 years. So it's not just a matter of somebody like just, but are you ready for something like that if it happens?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the only limit would be towards like the name itself, or like, we've got our cinema in nature, the Sounds of Freedom.
You've protected that as well,
so we've protected those.
You know how people are. Like in the creative industry, we're not talking even Kanye West and Adidas fighting. So we can't just say like here on the ground level.
That's a good example. Because a lot of people are so protective of their ideas. In my opinion, if Instagram can steal features from TikTok, you have no chance. I don't care how many copyrights.
It's almost impossible.
Patents. You have no chance, bro.
It's almost impossible.
You're only as good as your last idea.
True.
So keep it fresh. For us, we're keeping our episodes fresh. We're keeping our audience engaged. That's it.
And keep being innovative.
Looking for new audiences, keeping creative. So of course, anyone who's starting would have those natural pain points where they're like, okay, how do we tell our story this way? How do we tell our story that way? But mwishowe, if it's something that people find, oh, yes, let's commercialize this, we're only too happy, because remember I told you about the African Fiction Academy. The idea is that we actually create an ecosystem of people who are living sustainably off of marketing. They can
get inspired by what you're doing.
If someone feels that they can tell this a different version of this story, and like in Tanzania, there's the Zanzibar Rebellion, the Zanzibar Revolution.
Is that the Maji Maji?
No.
Oh, that's different.
That's different. This one is when they were kicking out the Arabs
from Tanzania?
From Zanzibar,
Oh, Zanzibar.
Wait. So, there's that story. And if they want to tell it that way, that'd be beautiful. If we could go to Ghana, and in that in the slave memorials, there is a film, and someone can listen to a film about slavery and what that meant. And now, Ghana is really making these links with the diaspora.
Yeah, crazy.
Someone in Ghana should see this thing and be inspired and say, you know what, I think it's worth doing a story here. Because if they don't do that story, then they'll be pissed at me because I came to the country and did it. So that becomes the inverse, where it's like I'm working to grow to tell African stories and hoping to be competitive enough to do it, but acknowledging that it's a space that's big enough for everyone.
True. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Just an interesting way on how you are like even ready to approach such a scenario. So give you props to that. But now we definitely have to wind up because I know, like, at the end, even if I finish, I finish one thing and then I'm like, oh, but what about this? But I think the best part is like, I know I can always just call you for a part 2.
Exactly.
So is there anything else that maybe people can look forward to probably in 2025 that, you just have in the works maybe?
Yes.
That you can just plug it on.
Absolutely. So 2025, we have 2 very exciting episodes coming out. We have the Mokami story. That's a female freedom fighter story that's really going to get you into the action when it comes to what women actually did to fight for this country. And this is going to be an episode that you wouldn't want to miss. Another very exciting episode is one that we are doing in London. So we're taking this story to the British people just so that they can also interact with this and they can also have something to say about these colonial legacies. So that's happening. And for all the Kenyans who are in the UK as well, who are going to be in London in summer 2025, karibuni sana, we're going to really be pushing for this. And our episode is going to be called Dear Colonizers.
Wow.
A letter from 1955. So we're going 70 years in the past and we're going to rediscover stories from their perspective. Sometimes maybe you don't even know how these guys got to this situation where they're in Kenya. He was just a young guy thinking
maybe
he's coming for safari.
You have to go there. You have to
take
a gun.
Pia anapewa bunduki. So
true, interesting.
These are 2 really exciting projects that we want to do. And so that you can discover this, we really urge you, don't hesitate. Come through to Karura. Whenever we have our next show, just follow us, Sounds of Freedom Africa, and we'll be happy to host you. So, asante sana. Thank you so much for hosting me. This has been a really dope, really dope podcast. So
I appreciate it.
Let's have a part 2.
Have you gone to other podcasts and stuff? Have people invited you to like do the talks and stuff?
I haven't actually. I had one with Nairobi Design, but that was like...
But that's what I'm talking about. You see, like, that's why, like, even at times people ask me, like, hey, why are you interviewing this person, like, on the podcast?
Yeah.
It's because even at times, like, even if you think about, like, a lot of podcasts, they want to pick, like, celebrities, but there are so many interesting things that are going on with individuals, organizations, that some people, I don't want to say they overlook, but they know they exist, but they don't take that extra step of like, because how are you talking about Mau Mau and nobody has invited you to come and talk about like...
It's crazy. It's crazy. And I think maybe now that we're at this point, then we'd be ready to do more outreach, but we're really happy to have started this work here.
Oh, okay. I respect that. Okay, tell people the social media platforms, your personal and maybe like, commercial platforms that they can reach you guys, or where else they can find content, anything content related, where they can find you.
We're on Instagram and TikTok, Sounds of Freedom Africa. So once you join that, once you follow the trail, then I guess you'll see me or one of our guides on the trail, and we'd be happy to have more convos. We've had really, really fruitful conversations that have gone all the way up to having team building experiences for your company. So we'd be really happy to explore all these exciting opportunities with you. So, Santeni.
Appreciate, guys. We have to say goodbye for now. Oh, wait. Another thing. See, I keep saying that. Do you have any merchandise, or have you thought about releasing like any merchandise? Somebody loves the project, what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Sounds, anything closely related to that.
I think the only thing that we have now is like the paintings that you get to keep. So maybe we'll find a way to brand that a bit better or something like this. But that's one thing that people do carry to their homes, like the paintings that they do. But yeah, I told you about the streetwear project that we're doing with Bonkers. So we're hoping to have stuff like that. Just clothes that have messaging on them.
I know Bonkers does like a really, really good job.
Yeah.
And now I'm talking about like probably individual, like that's just, I'll just give you like insights about like just merchandising and how important it is, like even for content creators.
Yeah.
I mean, like just open like your phone calculator and then we can just go through like, just an estimated number. I love playing with numbers like a lot. Go. Yeah. Let's say you've had, no, I want you to do it. Okay. Let's say you've had like, let's say possibly this year. Yeah. And we're talking hypothetically, right? Let's say in a perfect world this year, you do like probably, you said last year was 2,000.
Yeah.
Let's say this year, because like you guys are working hard and everything and the project is going, you do like 10,000 people, right? So let's put down 10,000. Okay. No, let's not put 10,000. Let's go with 3,000 people.
3,000.
Maybe 10,000 experience the whole thing, but maybe 3,000 people experience and want to buy your merchandise.
Yes.
Hypothetically.
Yeah.
A t-shirt, decent t-shirt that, somebody has put some work to it would go for probably 2.5, 3 Gs.
Yeah.
Maybe if somebody wants to support you guys, even just buying from like your Instagram, what's the total to that?
That's 7.5 million.
Yeah.
Really good. I think merchandising for us, and we've now settled. I think now we have an experience that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to take you up on that offer to think a bit more about what merchandise looks like. We'd be happy to. We're exploring stuff around, of course, the fitness aspect.
Yeah.
So
athleisure maybe or something.
Whether it's water bottles or
makes sense.
Backpacks and stuff like that.
Merchandising is very big because now somebody can hold into that identity. After coming to the experience, even if it's selling maybe the tickets like online or whatever, people can have like an option of like, okay, I saw Nani with this water bottle. I saw Nani with this t-shirt.
Yeah.
Maybe if I'm buying the ticket, let me just buy. By the time I'm getting there, I get like the whole package that I got. I got the ticket. And I think even like in your ticketing, you had different, the same way you had like for resident, non-resident.
Yeah.
Okay, now for resident, you can have packages of if I want a water bottle, if I want a t-shirt as well, if I want. So even if it's not necessarily from like our main website, but after the experience, if I can book these ones in advance,
it's really dope. Yeah.
I come there and after like the walk or even before the walk, I already get my merchandise.
Exactly.
Like, this is plugged in and,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just thinking.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan for sure.
Perfect.
For sure.
So, guys, we have to say goodbye for now and make sure, just try book a ticket and go. I think once you experience it, now you'll understand why exactly. I wouldn't even like rewatch a movie, but I wouldn't mind going back for, even if it's the same episode, just, the things that maybe I missed and just put like, pieces together. It's such an amazing experience.
Asante.
So guys, till next time, we have to say goodbye. The Kisscapades podcast is your gateway to holistic growth and personal transformation. Together we'll unlock the secrets to living a life of health, wealth, love and happiness. So make sure to tune in every week and join us as we explore the essence of what it means to truly thrive. And lastly, show us some love and support in our social media platforms from Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, basically all the social media platforms that support podcasting will definitely be there. Even with the short clips and reels, you can find us there. And lastly, don't be shy with feedback, suggestions, or any questions that you might have in regards to the episodes or our podcast. It's the Kisscapades podcast. Goodbye.